Everyone stopped at 11:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Not slowly, not one by one, all at once, mid-sentence, mid-step, mid-breath. The woman at the coffee counter had her mouth open around a word she never finished. The man behind me on the escalator had one foot suspended in the air. A pigeon outside the window hung motionless 3 feet above the pavement, wings spread, going nowhere. I kept moving. I walked through the entire ground floor of the building saying their names, touching their shoulders, waving my hand in front of open eyes that didn't blink. Nothing. They were warm. They were breathing. I could see the faint rise and fall of chests, the slow pulse at a woman's throat. Just suspended, like someone had pressed pause on everything except me. My phone had no signal. The clock on the wall read 11:47. The clock on my phone read 11:47. I watched both for what felt like 4 minutes. Neither moved. I went outside. The street was the same. A taxi frozen mid-turn. A child in the air at the top of a jump, sneakers 6 inches off the ground. A plastic bag caught in a wind that no longer existed. I stood in the middle of the road and turned slowly, looking at all of it, and the only sound in the world was my own breathing. Then I saw the second person moving. She was across the street, standing very still in a way that was different from the others, deliberate, not frozen. She was looking directly at me, and she was holding a piece of paper with something written on it, raised in both hands like a sign. It said, "Don't let them see you notice me." I didn't move. I didn't react. I kept my eyes forward and walked to the nearest doorway, stepped inside a frozen pharmacy, and turned slowly as though I was just looking around. She followed. She moved carefully between the frozen people the way you move through a library, measured, deliberate, aware of space. She folded the paper into her jacket pocket before she reached me and spoke very quietly, even though there was no one to hear. "How long have you been like this?" she asked. I told her this was the first time. She closed her eyes for a moment like that was the wrong answer. Her name was Claire. She had been moving through freezes, that was her word, freezes, for 11 months. They happened without warning, lasted between 4 minutes and 3 hours, and always ended the same way. Instant resumption, no one aware of any gap. The woman at the coffee counter would finish her word. The man on the escalator would complete his step. The pigeon would land. And if you were standing somewhere you hadn't been when it started, you had about 2 seconds to find a reason to be there before someone noticed. "What happens if they see you?" I asked. She looked at me for a long moment. "Nothing dramatic. They just get very calm, very agreeable, and then a few days later they stop being themselves." I asked her what she meant. She shook her head, not refusing to answer, more like she hadn't found the right words yet after 11 months of trying. "They're still there," she said. "They still answer to their names, go to work, remember their children, but something behind the eyes changes, like someone moved the furniture in a room and you can't identify what's different, you just know the room is wrong." She had a notebook. She showed me the first few pages. Dates, durations, locations, initials. Dozens of entries. Some initials had a small mark next to them, a dash with a circle, something she'd drawn quickly and consistently. I asked what the mark meant. "It means I'm not sure anymore," she said, "about that one." There were 11 marks. One of them, near the middle of the notebook, had a name written out in full instead of initials, the only full name in the book. It was mine. My name, written in her handwriting, dated 8 months ago. I hadn't had a freeze 8 months ago. I hadn't had one before today. I told her that and watched her face do something complicated. Not disbelief, not surprise, something closer to the expression people make when a thing they feared turns out to be true. "You wouldn't remember," she said. "The first few times, you don't." She sat down on the floor between a frozen pharmacist and a display of cold medicine and opened the notebook to my entry. 4 lines. A date in March, a location 3 streets from my apartment, a duration 41 minutes, and at the bottom, in smaller writing, was moving, didn't see me, no mark yet. No mark yet. Present tense converted to past by the mark that was now there. I sat across from her and tried to think back to March, a Tuesday. I remembered a Tuesday in March where I'd lost track of about an hour. I'd attributed it to distraction, to a podcast I didn't remember finishing, to the low-grade dissociation that city life sometimes produces. 41 minutes. I had been in that neighborhood. I had no memory of anything wrong. How many times since then? I asked. She turned to the next cage. 7 more entries. All me. All without marks. Until 2 months ago when a small dash and circle appeared next to my initials with a single word beside it. Shifting. I asked what shifting meant. She didn't answer right away. She looked at the frozen pharmacist, then at the window, then at me with the careful attention of someone deciding how much of a thing to say. When someone's been moving through freezes long enough, they start to change the freeze, not just exist inside it. The duration gets longer, the radius gets smaller, like it's centering on them, and sometimes near the end of that process, other people inside the freeze start to notice them. I looked at the frozen people around us, the pharmacist, a customer by the vitamins, a teenager near the door. Are they noticing me? I asked. Not yet, she said, but that's what I thought 8 months ago. I looked at the teenager near the door. His head was turned slightly more toward me than it had been when I walked in. I was almost certain of it. Not fully, just a degree or two, the kind of thing you doubt immediately after noticing. But his eyes were open, and his eyes were pointed in my direction, and there was something in them that was different from the pure vacancy of the frozen woman at the coffee counter. It was faint. It was probably nothing. Claire was watching me notice it. There's something else in the notebook, she said quietly. Something I haven't told you. She turned to the very last written page. 1 entry. No date, no location, no duration, just 2 lines in handwriting that was slightly different from the rest, less careful, written faster. The ones who start shifting don't stop. I know because I didn't write this. Outside, the pigeon was still suspended. The clock still read 11:47, and the teenager near the door had turned, very slowly, to face me completely.